Hello again there folks, I'm the Lone Adventurer and I like to play solo adventure games. This is the second part of my Luchador Hero playthrough. If you haven't seen the first part, I'll pop a link up in the corner of the screen right about now. Otherwise, we're going to just get straight on with it. We had finished our intro scene, it went pretty well as I recall. Didn't lose any health, gained a clue. All doing all right. Let me just remind myself of some of the bits and pieces I got going on here. So we have got a lockpick. I need to remember that. We have a psychic power, which is armor. And that's definitely something to remember, since having a psychic power is the main advantage of being a luchador with the spook archetype. Once per combat, the psychic can create a force field around themselves. Okay, alright, so once per combat I can decrease the amount of damage I'm receiving. Need to remember that. But we need to carry on with our first investigation scene. And if you recall, the game will be made up from as many investigation scenes as we want. The advantage of doing more is that you will hopefully get more clues, and therefore have a better advantage when we face off against the final big bad. Alright, so off to our next location, which is a nearby abandoned mine, which certainly sounds like the sort of place vampires might hang out during the day when they're recuperating, so probably a good place. Oh, sorry, a bit of a yawn there. Oh dear. So probably a good place to have a little look around. So we've got 2 enemies, 1 task and 1 clue. First enemy we're going to face is another Fleabag Chupacabra. These vampires love hiring Fleabag Chupacabras. Now we've got multiple enemies here. I just want to have a quick look at what happens with multiple enemies. If you find yourself fighting against multiple enemies, you make your muscles check with disadvantage. You must assign the damage you inflict on a single opponent at a time. Okay, so we've got a Chupacabra and a Cannibal Imp. Alright, so the Cannibal Imp and the Chupacabra actually have the same stats. So they both have a difficulty rating of 3 and 3 vitality points each. Okay, so it doesn't make too much difference who we attack first. We have 1 point in muscles, which means we roll just the 2 dice. So you always roll 1, and we roll 1 additional dice for each point in muscles, and we've only got 1 additional point in muscles. And we're looking for the highest roll. 6. Cool. Alright, so if we aim for the... Oh, wait a minute, we should be doing a disadvantage. Subtract 1 dice from your dice pool. Ah, that's void then, isn't it? Because we should only be rolling 1 dice. Okay, here we go. Oh, 1. Oh, you suffer damage equal to the difference between the enemy's DR and your score. So that's going to cause me 2 damage, because the enemy's DR is 3. So I'm just thinking, should I immediately bring in my psychic power? I think I probably should, shouldn't I? So that'll give me armor of 1. So we'll be subtracting 1 less vitality point. That means we're going to be subtracting 1 vitality point instead of 2. Let's have another go. This could be a long combat because there's 2 of them. There's 2 of them, and I'm rolling at disadvantage until one of them is down for the count. Oh, that's good news, though. Can you see that? Yes, you can. So that means the difference is between their difficulty rating and the number I rolled is 3, difference of 3, which means that I kill the Fleabag Chupacabra, leaving only the Cannibal Imp left. So I guess I can go back to my full normal roll now. Good, good. So 5, that means we're doing 2 points of damage. And the not the flea bag. What is it? The cannibal imp has got 1 point left. And we take the best number, so the 5 means that the imp is no more. The imp is defeated. Alright, but we've also got to do one task. So let's see what task we're doing here. 6. Discreetly follow a perpetrator. Acrobatics check with disadvantage. Alright, so I guess maybe we see one of the vampires leaving the mine and we try and follow them. So this is an acrobatics check with disadvantage. So my acrobatics is 2, which means I'd normally be rolling 3 dice, so I'm going to be rolling 2. It's double 6. Can't get better than that, can it? Yep, so that just means that we succeed. Oh, look! If you've obtained double 6s, you also gain a hero point. I didn't think it was going to happen, but it's happened. So we've got ourselves a hero point. Hero points are useful, as you would imagine. Let me just remind myself what they do. So hero points can be spent to add 1 extra die called the hero die to any skill check. So that's really big, because when you roll a hero die, you add that one on. So let's say we had a hero die in that roll, and we rolled a 4. We would take our best number, we would add on the hero die, so we'd have a total of 10 there, which means when you're up against the big bad at the end, I mean, you could use it sooner than that, but best used against the big bad at the end in order to really give us a decent shot at defeating it. I forget we've got these special conditions here. We might roll on a special condition on the next scene. But first we've got to see if we get the clue. We need to do an investigation check. Let's see what we've got to do. 5. Library research. Brains check. So maybe we need to do a little bit of research into vampires. So we're off to the library to do a bit of research. Brains check, so it's 1 dice, 1 point plus the standard. Ooh, 3's not so good. You succeed with a consequence. What is succeeding with a consequence? First you need to consider what the task is at hand. For example, if I'm attempting to lockpick a door, the consequence might be that you break the lockpick. So what consequence would there be to library research? I mean, you might get a nasty paper cut, possibly. So it says here, possible consequences are losing vitality points, losing an asset or an ally, attracting enemies, rolling with disadvantage on the next check, having to spend some resolve points. I tell you what, I know what it's going to be. We will roll with disadvantage on the next check, because we were up all night researching in the library, and so we are tired, which means we're going to have to roll with disadvantage. But we did succeed at getting a clue, so we've got 2 clues now. We've got 2 clues and a hero point. So it's starting to feel like I might possibly stand a chance against the big bad. I keep saying big bad, but there's an actual phrase for it. Super Beast, against the Super Beast. But I think we're going to have at least 1 more investigation scene. So let's crack on with our investigations. 8. A dark alley. So maybe we heard, or our research told us about a particular part of town where vampires are sometimes seen. I'm getting a bit obsessed with the vampire thing, but it's all I've got to hang my ideas on at the moment. And we are heading over in that direction, obviously at night, because we want to track down the vampires. So we've got 2 enemies, 1 task and 1 clue, and we're going to do this with an optional special condition. So the special conditions are just added details that you can add in order to just make things a bit more spicy, a bit more interesting. So let's see what we got going on here. 3. The location is very dark. Well, that makes sense. Investigation checks are made with disadvantage. Fleeing rolls with advantage. Okay, that makes sense. So that's investigation rolls. Okay, but our first roll is going to be obviously against the first enemy. We've got 2 enemies again. Remember, we're going to do the first one at disadvantage because we're still a bit sleepy. First enemy is going to be another Fleabag Chupacabra. And another Cannibal Imp, or at least it's consistent. These vampires obviously have their stooges, and their stooges are Fleabag Chupacabras and Cannibal Imps. Right, so here we go. Muscles check. We are going to be doing at a disadvantage against the first enemy. Well, it would be disadvantage anyway, wouldn't it? Because it's multiple enemies. Never mind. Forget about the sleepiness. I've seen 2 enemies and that's woken me right up. Okay, so that's good. That's to our advantage. That's hitting for 1 point. Because remember, if you're over the difficulty rating, that means a success. The difference is the amount of damage you do. Difficulty rating of 3. Roll of... Was that off camera? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? A roll of 4 means that we are doing a damage of 1. Means that the Fleabag Chupacabra is going to go down to 2 points. 2 vitality points. Oh, but that's the opposite. That's the opposite. So that is less than the difficulty rating. So I will use my psychic power of armour to avoid that point of damage. I think. Might as well, mightn't I? Let's go in again. 3, that's exactly the same. What happens if you roll exactly the difficulty rating? Oh, both sides take 1 point of damage. Alright, so the Chupacabra is going to go down to 1. I am going down to 4. And that's the Chupacabra dead. On to the Cannibal Imp. Now we can roll 2 dice. Because remember, I was only rolling 1 dice because I've just seen the double 6 and got excited about that. I was only rolling 1 dice because we were at a disadvantage. Now we're only facing 1 enemy. We're rolling 2 dice, which is our normal amount. So we've rolled a double 6, which means not only are we killing the Cannibal Imp outright, I think... Does that mean I get a hero point? It says you gain 1 hero point every time you roll double 6s. So that's 2 hero points. Epic. So that is the enemy in the dark alley defeated. What have we got to do now? We've got 1 task we need to do. 6. Discreetly follow a perpetrator. So I'm guessing it's the same perpetrator as before. So we're still following the same vampiric looking dude. I mean, you would think he noticed the massive kerfuffle in the alley outside whatever building we're outside of, but he didn't, so we're going to try and follow him at a disadvantage. So that means we're going to roll 2 dice. 4. I think that's a success with a consequence again, isn't it? It is. I'd been rolling quite well early on in this game, hadn't I? I hadn't had many consequences. So what's the consequence? I suppose the consequence is that... I mean, we're trying to discreetly follow someone, right? So someone we suspect of being involved, I think the consequence has to be they notice us following, right? And if they notice us following, they're probably going to turn around and attack us. So we're being attacked by a piñata head. Probably the last thing we expected, some kind of monster with the head of a piñata. Okay, difficulty rating 2, vitality points of 2. So hopefully we'll defeat this beast quite quickly. Yeah, there we go. So our best roll is 4. difference between difficulty rating of 2 and 4 is 2, so we immediately kill the Pinata head. So it could have been a lot worse. So we need to go on to the investigation. And if you remember, in the alley it is very dark because of the special condition we rolled. So the investigation check is going to be made with disadvantage. 5. More library research. Back to the library, back to the books. So my brains is 1, which means instead of rolling 2, I'll only be rolling 1 because it's a disadvantage. 4. Okay, so that again is a success with a consequence. A success with a consequence. I mean, what did we do last time? The next roll will be at disadvantage because I was sleepy. I think it makes sense just to do exactly the same again. Although that'd be a little boring. What would be another consequence to all this time spent in the library? How about I'm so focused on my book I don't realise that the library has shut up shop around me and everybody's gone and I'm locked inside. So I have to get myself out. I have to break out of the library. How about that for a twist? How do you do lock picking? I've got a lockpick. Where's my lockpick information? It's around here somewhere. It's an asset. Here we go. Grants advantage on lockpicking checks or discards to automatically pass a lockpicking check. Doesn't tell you how to do a lockpicking check. I'm guessing that is a task. Yeah. It's an acrobatics check if I want to pick the lock. Or I can break it down using my muscles, but I'm gonna do an acrobatics check to pick the lock with my lockpick, and it grants advantage. Okay, so that means I'm going to be rolling 4 dice. So that is because you always roll 1. I'm rolling 2 for my acrobatics and an additional 1 for my for having my lockpick. Best roll is 4. My goodness, 4 is success, but with a consequence. So I guess the consequence is I break my lockpick trying to get out of the library. So no more lockpick, but I got out of the library. So I just want to have a quick look at the healing section, because I feel like I should probably do some healing. A short rest in a quiet place will restore 3 victory points. You can't rest in a scene. Well, I finished my scene. You can't rest more than once per scene. Each time you take a short rest, roll 1d6. On a roll of 1 to 2, you were disturbed, and we would get attacked. Or, oh I see, or we can take a night's rest in our HQ, but that would end the episode. In other words, you're fully healed, but the investigation is over and you lose. So what would be the point in doing that? I'm not too sure. Does it mean that you would trigger the final showdown scene? But I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going to do a normal short rest. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, I'm disturbed and get attacked. 4, so we're safe. So we can go back up to max health. Back up to 6. Did I do my investigation of that last scene? Oh, that was the library research, wasn't it? Okay. So the library research was a success. I gained a clue, which means I now have 2 hero points and 3 clues. And I think probably the best thing to do at this point would be to end the investigation scenes and go on to the final showdown. So you can see how that works. So it says here, to emulate classic serials tropes, each episode of Luchador Hero ends by an epic showdown, pitting your hero against the big baddie, which in our game is called the Super Beast. All Super Beasts have a difficulty rating of 6. That means that you need to roll 6s in order to harm them. Well, actually, you'd have to roll more than 6, wouldn't you? Maybe I misunderstand, but I thought if you roll the same as the difficulty rating, you both lose a point. Oh, they lose a point as well, so you both lose a point, including them losing a point. Yeah, okay. So how can we bring these super beasts to their knees? So we've got a few hints and tips here. Collect as many clues as possible, then unleash your powerful super special move on the super beast. It hits automatically and can deal a massive blow to the super beast right at the start of the fight, so we'll be doing that. We can use hero points to get those additional dice in play. Use resolve points. Have I got any? Oh, I have got resolve points. I forgot about resolve points. Resolve points can be added to your highest die result. I've totally forgot about that. Well, that's okay. We can use it now, can't we? So we are ready to go. Super Beasts. Let's see which Super Beast is in charge here. So all our investigation in the library is paid off. We finally found out that it wasn't the vampires at all. That behind the vampires is an even more terrifying nemesis who I now have to defeat. And it is a hungry, angry rhino. Didn't see that coming. Difficulty rating 6. Vitality points 10. Optional rules. Okay, so I'm going to track the vitality points down here because otherwise I will forget. Optional rules. Armored 1. Super thick skin. Regular damage inflicted to the rhino is reduced by 1 point. Doesn't affect super special moves and psychic powers. Hard hitter. Every time you suffer damage from the hungry, angry rhino, make a brains check. If you fail, you're stunned and suffer an additional 1d3 damage. I think we're going to do both of those. I don't mind if I get knocked out and we don't succeed, and that all sounds pretty good fun to me. So in our first attack, we're going to use our super special move, which is the battering ram. Just going to remind myself how super special moves work. Your super special move is an incredibly powerful wrestling move that can trigger once per episode. Triggering the super special move consumes all your clues. It inflicts 1 point of damage for every clue spent. Even better, it automatically hits. No need to roll dice. So we're going to start with our super special move, which is going to do 3 points of damage straight away, taking the rhino down to 7 points of damage. Okay, and the super thick skin isn't going to affect that because it doesn't affect super special moves or psychic powers. Not that we've got a psychic power that does damage. Okay, so now we're going to go into a standard attack. So this is muscles, standard muscles, so it's 1 dice plus 1 dice. But we are going to use one of our hero points, which means we roll that additional hero dice and we add that onto our best dice. Here we go. Oh, look at that, we've got a 6. Was that off camera? Well, it was a 6. Even if it wasn't a 6, we got a 5. So 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage. Wow. The armour reduces that by 1, so that takes us down to 8 points of damage. And that's it. The rhino is defeated. Wow, I didn't expect that to go that well. I think I was a little bit lucky there with my final dice roll. But there you go. Juan, Blue Angel, the undefeated, remains undefeated and solves the mystery of the La Moya Vampiro nightclub. Turns out that they were all under the sway of this crazy rhino dude. Well, there you go. A successful playthrough. That's Luchador Hero. Hope you enjoyed that, folks. I will pop links in the description below if you want to check this game out yourself. If you enjoyed this adventure and you want to see more just like it, do consider subscribing to my channel, hitting the bell notification icon, because I make lots of videos about games like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.